Today for Cultural Emporium, I'm going to be interviewing Mrs. Marsh, who is a social worker. So we are going to ask some questions, and we're going to find out what the job of a social worker is all about. When did you decide you wanted to do social work?
Well, I originally went to college to be something else. I went to college to be an audiologist, somebody that studies hearing, and in my internship, they placed me in an area that had people that had a lot of different needs, and so I ended up talking to them about their problems a lot.
Okay.
And my supervisor said, go ahead and take a social work class and see if you like it, and then I never looked back.
And what made you decide to be a social worker?
I think I like being able to do something different every time I go to work.
So what college did you attend?
My undergrad degree is from Michigan State University, and I went to graduate school and got my master's at Wayne State in Detroit.
So what did you major in college to be a social worker?
I majored in audiology and speech sciences, but in that major, I needed to take enough psychology classes to work with people that I had enough to go to grad school to be a social worker.
Okay. So what's the process of employment to be a social worker?
So that is different from state to state, but you need a license to be a social worker. So you need to go to grad school for 3 years. If you're 2 years full-time, 4 years part-time. And then you need to work for 2 years under a licensed social worker, which is most of the time that's not paid either. And then you get your license. You have to take a big test, and then you get your license.
So what are all the places a social worker can work?
Oh my goodness, a lot. So you can work in the hospital. You can do home health care, which is what I do. You can work as a therapist, a mental health therapist, which I've done too. You can work as case managers, where you're kind of people that need a lot of things, you're helping them find it everywhere. You can work in the schools. That's a lot of fun. You can work in any kind of private practice that you want. And actually, some doctors have social workers that if they have weight loss programs for kids, pediatric stuff, they'll hire a social worker to do their mental health issues.
Okay.
Pretty much anywhere, but there's pretty much social workers everywhere.
Okay. So who do you work for?
I work for CVH Home Health Care. So I work for a company where people, I think that's your next question. I work for CVH Home Health Care.
Okay. And so who are your clients?
So my clients are people, after they're discharged from the hospital, they still can't really leave their homes. And so if they're showing signs of mental health problems or trouble getting community resources, they send me in and I do an assessment, and I work with the family 3 or 4 times and make sure that they're doing okay.
Okay. And so where do you and your clients meet usually?
We meet at their home.
Okay.
But most social workers meet at school or an agency or an office.
Oh, okay. So what kinds of situations do you deal with on an everyday basis?
Well, every day I'm doing assessments. So every day I'm asking them a lot of questions. There's a couple of psych tests, really fast ones that I do every time I see them, just to make sure they're not depressed. And then it's basically them telling me what they need, and then we go from there.
Okay. So how do you help your clients in a difficult situation?
Well, it depends on the situation, but most of the time, a lot of these clients just need somebody to listen to them because they spend a lot of time alone, or they might be in pain and nobody else understands, and they just need somebody to listen to what they're saying, and that's usually enough. Okay.
And so do you ever feel uncomfortable in a situation?
Sometimes. Sometimes it's uncomfortable if maybe somebody's hurting somebody and I need to do something about it, and I need to let them know that I have to do something about it to keep that other person safe. Like maybe somebody might not be giving their child or their spouse the medicine, and they need to take the medicine, or other kinds of situations where they could be hurting them on purpose or not. I have to report that, and sometimes it's uncomfortable to tell them that.
Yeah. And so, what do you do when you're just unable to deal with a situation?
Well, knock on wood, it hasn't happened quite yet, but I can tell you a time in the hospital where I had somebody that was a little violent. And then there's strategies in place where you call in a team and everybody helps you.
Oh, okay.
In the homes that I'm in right now, I would just call 911.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
So, do you enjoy your job?
Mhm. Very much.
So, does your job affect your life, and in what ways?
My job affects my life in a very positive way because it's a job that I've always been able to balance around having my family, which has been nice. So I've taken time off of work, when my kids have needed me home more, and now that they're getting older, I can go back a little bit more.
And how do you know you've succeeded helping your clients?
Usually they tell me, and usually they're more independent. They're not depressed, they're not anxious, and they're able to take care of themselves without a lot of extra help.
Okay. And how did social work change your life?
It definitely helps me remember the things, not to take things for granted. And I think that it's helped me learn a lot about what's available in the community for when I need it, or my family or friends.
Okay. So lastly, would you like to say anything to my classmates who are watching this video about social work?
Social work is a great career, and the nice thing about it is you can get one degree, and as say you're in psych and you're doing therapy, you could go back for a couple weeks and get another certificate and work in the schools, or you can do something else. And so it's really versatile, so you can go do a lot of different things with this degree, which has been great.
So thank you for having this interview.
You're
We've
welcome.
learned a lot about social work.
Thank you for having me.